Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our next speaker, Tomas Lekavicius, presenting the topic, Building Tech Product Offer, Command Higher Prices, Strategically Structure Value, and Weaponize Emotional Intelligence.
I'm trying to get familiar with my voice and with the echoing. Okay, I can see some faces, even though the light is so shining bright in my eyes. I hope that the bright future is shining for you as well. Today, I want to speak a little bit about products, especially about products monetization. So even though that the topic naming in the agenda sounds super sexy and super romanticizing, right? Like about emotional intelligence and psychology and prices, what we do today, very practically, I will share some insight on how to structure value of your offer, so what you're actually offering to your customers, and how to enable growth. So this kind of step is actually a little bit before you start selling. So that's why I think that the flow of the session would go as this. So first of all, we will start about why you should even care about having the product offer. And the offer basically means what kind of value you provide for your customer in a way that you are able to communicate directly with the customer, being understood by the customer, and then enable sales, enable more money, enable more growth, right? How to build that kind of offer using offer value formula. So I will share the exact steps, what you should take care about and what you can do about it. And then I will share one real life example, how we did it, so you can see it in action. So this session would be the best if you are looking of building a product and you are trying to find that product market fit, for example, or you want to gain at least a couple of insights or ideas of your already existing product, but how to make it a bit closer to the customer, how to solve the customer problems a little bit better. So my name is Tomas Lekavicius. What I do, I consult companies for a living. Mostly I work with technology companies or IT departments in big corporations and enterprises. And I help teams to build better products and to lead their people better. You can see a couple of clients here. You can see a great photo of me from the last year conference when I was giving a speech mostly focused on leadership side of things. So this year I am going into a different direction, which I really love. It's about the product. So why you should even care about the offer and why you should even care about offer building? So first of all, of course, it's value proposition. You need to understand how to communicate value directly with your customer. So you are able to actually, translate how do you understand the customer. The second thing is, of course, driven of the sales. So it enables processes. It helps you to smoother all the situation when it comes to the sales and of course with the customer acquisition and retention. And finally, not the least, is market position. So how you're able to build a brand that sticks, how you are able to differentiate yourself from our competitors, and how you can be really someone unique and stood out from the vast ocean of different products that we are currently experiencing in all of the areas of our lives and our careers. So first of all, a few things to consider, and just diving right into it. Look at your clients now. If you do have a clients, try to actually dive deeper in what they are experiencing. And first of all, of course, which clients do you like to work the most yourself? So what kind of clients do you actually get the best results for? Perhaps it's less about demographics and more about psychographics. So it's not about that you are helping young people to do this and that, but you're trying to look at the behaviors, at the emotions, and then decision-making process that your customer goes when they are choosing to pick your product or to pick product of someone else. Then, which is the easiest to serve? So how you're actually building the value for a customer, and it's easy for them. They get you, you understand them, and you can say that, they are my people, right? They understand, they get you. And of course, which are the easiest to sell? You may say that, if you have money, then you are easiest to sell. Of course, Perhaps they are a market that is easy to identify than easy to sell to, or you have a specific connections or network that you're able to, well, in the end of the day, monetize. So these are good questions to stimulate your thinking when it comes to your clients now. If you do not have any clients yet, I would suggest you run a series of interviews with the potential clients that will get you a lot of insight of what actually they are experiencing and what kind of obstacles or challenges they have in their daily lives. The second part is look at your current product and think what problem you are best at solving, what you see yourself really enjoying and going deep into it. You find yourself in that kind of philosophical or practical discussions, even with your friends or your family, and you're building something really interesting for you that you genuinely care. The second thing could be about what kind of problem do your clients not only now have, but also what kind of obviously another problem they will have once you solved the problem with your product in that current moment. So you can learn or you can observe and acquire different skills. For example, for me as a consultant, I started working with groups of people. So it's a obvious segue once you have that kind of basic management skills already nailed down and take care on, what you notice is that the young managers or the beginning managers, the junior managers, they're starting to face very different and unique problems, unique to their own. So they need like individual attention, they need like individual sessions or like consulting or coaching sessions. So this was my like logical next step to learn how to serve my clients one-on-one, not only in the group. So these kind of questions helps us to stimulate our thinking and to think about different ways how we can understand our customer better. Now, the killer advantage is also a very interesting one. The killer advantage is the way that you are super unique and you are able to differentiate yourself to the most. So these are a couple of really bold examples, just such as Amazon, right? So vast and efficient logistics and distribution network that is really killer advantage. They are able to, provide the speed and provide the delivery as fast as no one else. In 2008, the Amazon was the very first company in the world that provided same-day delivery. So you are ordering something in the morning and you get your product in the evening or the afternoon. So they were the very first one because of this kind of logistics network. You can see the Apple, right? All the ecosystem. And if you have a phone, you will probably want to have a laptop. If you have a laptop and a phone, you will probably want to have a watch, and so on and so on. So that kind of ecosystem brings benefits on their own. The Vinted, right? The community-driven platform. Instead of going and having like a lot of ads and a lot of different products, Vinted went through the community-driven platform and actually nailed that really, really well. We can have a Coinbase, right? Easy to use, easy to sell, easy to buy, and then you can go with that. But what to do if you have a little bit smaller product than the previous companies mentioned? Think about different killer advantages you may have. Perhaps you are very quick at the reactions. Perhaps you are very, very fast, and the speed could be your killer advantage. Maybe you have an exceptional customer experience and you're able to outstand your customer and really wow them. Maybe you provide a specific consulting and you have the expertise within your team, or you are expert yourself and you are able to provide additional consultancy for your clients instead of only just selling like a specific product. Maybe there are specific ways of working or leadership or, cutting edge tech. And we can see a lot of different examples where people are jumping on the wave of different techs, right? You remember big data, Web3s, metaverse, artificial intelligence now, what we will have in the future, I don't know, but sometimes it also helps. And maybe you have a very super unique, like a super micro niche that you are serving, so you understand your customer really, really well. So thinking about killer advantage is about having that one thing that you are the best at, and no one can actually compare you, right? So it's your best thing that you are providing for your customer. So let's look at the offer value formula. So this is the exact formula which will help you to distribute value, and your customer will be able to understand your value really, really directly. First of all, is desired outcome. So what's the main goal that they are trying to achieve? So the offer value formula is interesting, and perhaps if you are interested in that, I would really recommend to follow Alex Hormozy, which has actually put this value equation in a very nicely and beautifully form. So first of all, desired outcome. What exactly your customer trying to achieve? What kind of problem they're trying to solve, right? It's super important. Next part is perceived likelihood of achievement. So it's not only about the likelihood of achievement, but it's also how the customer perceives that, how the customer thinks about it, and what kind of stories the customer tells themselves about your product. And if we want to increase the value, we're trying to increase the desired outcome. We're trying to increase the likelihood of achievement, but we also need to think about not so nice and some negative ways that we need to decrease. And first of them is time delay. So how long it actually takes to achieve the results. We need to lower that down. And the second one is effort and sacrifice. So what exactly do I need to do, right? So what's the effort from my side? And a couple of questions that will help you to understand this formula better are like this. So what's the desired outcome? What problem exactly they are solving, and what's the end game, what they are actually trying to achieve? If you are building a fintech startup, and perhaps you also like one of 1,000 or plus startups that are providing like secure transactions and really like fast response and great customer experience, that then we are thinking, okay, what's our killer advantage and what is the end goal of my unique ideal customer? What they are actually valued the most. Is it security? Is it privacy? Is it speed, right? Is it like lower rates internationally? Who knows, right? You should know if you are building a similar product. And also, what's their goal behind the goal? So the quick like cheat, if you are dealing with business to business customers, the goal behind the goal is money, right? Pretty straightforward. But if you are dealing with B2C customers, then you need to understand what's actually the end goal. So if they are using your service or your product, what problem they are solving in their daily lives and how they're actually enhancing their daily lives. The interesting part is with the likelihood of achievement. So it's not about do they trust us and our product, but it's really important to understand, do they trust themselves? So imagine you are building a fitness app and you are investing a lot of time and energy and money to create an amazing workout plans. You are hiring a top trainers. They're making the nutritional strategies and everything goes super well. And you think that you have like a remarkable fitness app. You have all the knowledge in one place, really comfortable, really easy to use. But then you need to ask yourself, do my customer really trust themselves in following that training programs? And this is where a lot of like behavioral focused apps or products fails. In the fitness app example, you can think about accountability groups, maybe some kind of support system or community driven, right? So you are enabling your customer to reach the results faster and actually increase the trust in themselves, not only the trust in you that your product can really provide. And of course, if they are trusting themselves, they need to trust you. It's hard in some markets than others. You can speak about like medicine or finance, where it's really hard to gain the trust and won't end up on CoffeeZilla channel in the end. But it's really important. Now, when it comes to the time delay, think about how long it takes to get the first results and how long it takes to get the final results. So what are those kind of low-hanging fruits that your customer actually achieves in the very first like 24 hours of using your product, maybe in the very first hour of using your product, and what is exactly the end goal? So when it comes to the time delay, Duolingo, the language learning app, is a great example, right? They are focusing a lot of making the process really gamified, so you are achieving the results in the very first minutes of using the app. You're seeing that you actually learned a couple of phrases, right, a couple of words, and it becomes really interesting really fast. So the final result like the learning the language, you can see a lot of people doing that in like half a year or a year. So that builds trust in the product and builds trust in myself because it's pretty easy, right? And as Duolingo mentioned, it's like fun and easy way to learn a language, right? And they actually did that first because in the past, learning a language meant having like ton of these kind of size books and like some kind of boring tutors and lecturers that were spending like hours and hours explaining different and difficult language and grammar mechanisms. And so that really relates with effort and sacrifice. So what exactly do I need to sacrifice in my daily life, for example? How I actually need to change my behavior or build new habits in order to use that product. And sometimes building the habits might be very, very simple, like using some kind of new and unique interface that people are not familiar. And sometimes you can see that some apps are actually pretty similar, especially when we are speaking about like finance apps. They're pretty similar in the way they are usage, in the way they are approaching their interface, in the way they are actually even naming a specific features. So what is the effort and sacrifice? What do I need to eliminate and how it's actually painful, all this habit altogether? And sometimes if we are speaking about like enterprise level, of course, we can have a lot of pain involved directly or indirectly. For example, we can have like rollout that spans throughout a year. So there are a lot of like sacrifice. So this is when the customer starts to compare different ways of behaving and different ways of your product. So this is how the value formula looks like. It's pretty straightforward. You have a desired outcome, you have likelihood of achievement, you have time delay, and you have effort and sacrifice. And of course, first two, the desired outcome and the likelihood of achievement, you need to try to make as much of them as possible. So you need to increase the likelihood of achievement. You need to increase the desired outcome. And there you can find a lot of different methods and tools and tactics how to use it. So for example, when it comes to likelihood of achievement, the social proof comes on the stage, right? So testimonials, people similar to your customer using and actually achieving the results that you are providing, right? When it comes to the time delay, also have like a specific case studies and answering the questions of your customer. And when it comes to the real life example, I want to share one of them that I hope will put everything even in a more clarity way. So the example it's about delivery product that we built together with Tesco, like a retailer that you probably heard. So we achieved pretty remarkable results when it comes to the last mile optimization and vehicle routing software as a service. And it was actually a very interesting product that I was fortunate enough to lead. And the interesting part is when it comes to that value formula. So let's look at a bit more details. So the desired outcome that Tesco wanted were cost-effective routing optimization at scale. So the solutions that they were using were either very, very slow, like a super corporate like, and they were very, very expensive with a lot of technical depth. So they were looking for like a really cost-effective way to optimize their routing and especially to have that kind of killer advantage on their own, while a lot of competitors were started to invest in technology more aggressively. So this were like the desired outcome, what they actually wanted to achieve. Now, the perceived likelihood of achievement, what we did to increase that. Of course, organizational capabilities helped a lot. They have hundreds of very smart engineers, of people who are able to grab our product to really integrate in all the internal systems and to roll out to make it work. So the capabilities and trust in themselves were really, really high. Now, in our case, the trust in the team worked really well. We assembled a lot of great people. They were like PhD level software engineers and data scientists and machine learning experts and product people. So there were a lot of great minds involved that helped us to show our portfolio that our team able to deliver, and that helped build trust. And of course, the agile ways of working and constant collaboration. Tesco really appreciated that we were quick to respond, we are quick to adapt, and we were able to provide something really interesting. So we were like some kind of pilot project that they want to run. The interesting part also is about time and delay. So how we can actually roll out such a huge product in a huge enterprise with thousands and thousands of employees involved. First of all, we ran a discovery. So discovery, we worked in the different operational units, such as warehouses and vans, and like a lot of different operational units to grasp all that kind of existing data and understand the Tesco infrastructure. Once we did that, we then built a proof of concept. And that actually was like the very thinned down solution of our product, where we tested on the subset of Tesco data, and we were able to provide a reliable performance. This is what they were looking at. So providing a reliable performance, making sure that we can really deliver on that specific subset really helped us, because we identified what kind of data do we need, what kind of corrupted data do we need to eliminate, and to understand from the client engineers how exactly that will look like. And finally, the effort and sacrifice. Of course, when you are rolling out in all the estate, there are, like, as I mentioned, thousands of employees involved, hundreds of different locations all across the UK. So of course, the effort and sacrifice is there. But we try to limit that, expressing that we are smaller, we are anti-corporate, and we are able to react, adapt, and move much faster. So instead of having like rollout schedules that span throughout like months and months, and when I'm saying months, I don't mean like 2 months or 3 months, but it's more about when sometimes mothers tell us their kids' age, right? 15 months, 20 months. And it sounds comforting when you're saying 20 months because it's still in months, but then you understand it's almost 2 years, right? So we are able to adapt really fast, and we are able to provide that value and communicate very quickly what they appreciated. Of course, there were a lot of moving parts. We had like a champions in our client side that we are really rooting for us, and they were really understanding what we are bringing on the table, and helped us to actually nail that product. So either though you have an enterprise related product or you have a product that is more consumer facing, you can use this value formula and think about your product. The slides will be available, so you are able to see all these kind of stimulating questions and thinking patterns that would help you to advance your project or advance your product, and at least have a couple of insights, at least have like a 2 or 3% of improvements in your product, and I hope that helps. So one of the things, speaking about the time delay, I think that I would stop here and ask if you have any questions. Do you have questions? Thank you. So you can scan the QR code, which looks scary at the size as it is. That's what she said. And you can find my LinkedIn. So you are able to see, my profile, and I can send the slides very quickly. If not, then organizers will take care of the slides, and you will have those after the event.
Thank you, Thomas. Once again, any questions from the audience? If somebody wants to ask a question now. Do we have anything on Slido? Nope. Okay, so I guess then that's it. Okay, we have one question on Slido.
All right, let's see.
Don't you think that thinking only about easiest to work with users is hindering us from thinking about the right customers?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you, Anonymous. So first of all, we need to understand what the right customer is. But I'm thinking of having and building that foundation from the very beginning. So what you gain from serving the easiest to serve customers first, you build a momentum, both from mindset perspective, but both from financial and the financial rollout perspective. So of course, later on, once you have like bigger organization, you have the resources to invest, I think then is the right time to focus on more users or increasing the number of users or thinking about the right users. I'm not sure why it's different than the easiest to work users. In the ideal world, it would be the same, but it's only from like decreasing the risk and making sure that we are building the momentum from the very beginning, so we're later on we can sell. The example from Tesla is pretty good because they started from serving the customers who has the most money, and they are, introduced the Tesla there where I think Roadster, this is how it's called, but it was like $300,000 or something like that in price, and they sold out that. And once they have the financials and have the resources, they were able to invest in like a massive production of like Tesla S, which costs like 30,000 something in the US. So that kind of approach is actually related to what is your own end goal. If you want to serve like a very specific niche of your customer, then I will just go more on desired outcome and likelihood of achievement and try to work it out so you are able to serve that right customers.
Great. So the next question is what kind of problem were you adapting for Tesco? Is it dynamic VRP or some very custom named routing problem?
If I understand the question correctly, so yeah, we build actually very custom solution, which based on traveling salesman problem, one of the oldest problems in mathematics of how you can visit different points on the map in the most efficient way possible. So this was like a very concrete routing problem which we solved, and later on, based on the experience and based on the solution, we built a satellite delivery, which is the product, right? So I'm not working at the moment with them, and I'm not sure what kind of technology they're using like today, but yeah, it was like super custom and tailor-made when it comes to Tesco example.
We have a lot of questions now. People waited the last minute to ask everything.
Or they needed just a
which
reminder.
Which is great because we have now we have time to actually for you to answer to them. Okay, so the next one is in a per company. Can all of this done by one person or a group of persons? Is this something a product manager should do?
So when it comes to the value formula, I think that everyone should care about the customer and why you're actually building, even though you're writing a line of code or you are creating a social media post. You need to think about your customer. But as I spoke with the speaker before me, you need to have a champion. You need to have like an owner which really drives it. And sometimes it's the product person, sometimes it's the founder, sometimes it's CEO, the person who is actually focusing of driving the product and thinking about the product. Because in the end of the day, if we speak about super basics, we have only three functions in the business. We have operations, we have sales, and we have product. And every of our jobs falls in one of these categories. We either are building, we either are selling, or we are trying to understand our customer. So I think in product company, of course, one person could be ideally the champion or the final responsible, the owner, but everyone involved should think about it, because sometimes, and I saw it from my experience for more than a decade of leading product teams, sometimes the greatest ideas comes, from developers about marketing, for example, how to actually understand each other. So yeah, I think it's important for everyone.
Great. So the next question is, were you able to use the formula in the Tesco project to actually determine the price for your collaboration?
I'm thinking how to approach the question where you're able to use the offer formula in Tesco project to actually determine the price of collaboration. So this is actually the process that where a lot of people involved, because when it comes to corporate pricing, it's a little bit different. But when it comes to the pricing of your product, is it like a consumer facing, for example, B2C? So there we could have like not only like market research or the ideally what kind of price there is in the market and what is the smart way to approach that. But when it comes to the offer formula, in that specific case, the price, whether I would say the second or the third step, because firstly, we thought about how we can provide the most value and how we can actually, win the client before thinking even about like super structured like price and all of these kind of negotiations. So it's more about like a thinking system or like a formula to stimulate your thinking, so you're able to actually, vocally express where the value of your product is, how you can make it better, how you can, decrease the time to the result, how you can increase the desired outcome. And based on that, you're able to increase the price and you're able to command that higher price in your specific situation. But I understand that in all of your products, it really depends and it's really unique, the situation. So that's why I'm saying it's only like a very first step just to understand the value and able to communicate later on. And the communication, of course, it's super unique. Either you are like Web3's project or you are building some kind of medicine startup and so on. So it's really individual, I would say.
Does the same value formula apply if money is not the only goal measurement? Let's say, in addition to any value, a goal also contributes to some science research.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Love it. So one of my teams were called research and development, and that team were full of data scientists and other super smart people that when they're speaking, I understand only like every third or fourth word. Just basic English, but they are super smart. So a lot of time were invested in building a specific like process from academia to business. So, actually contributing to the research so we can have like a practical application to the business. So I think that the value formula applies. And when we are speaking about the formula, we're not speaking only about the money. So if we are increasing the desired outcome, our desired outcome could be the science advancements or improvements or contributing to some science research. It also can be related with, for example, open source code projects, as one of the great panel discussions were happening today. So you can have a lot of different goals, but it still remains to understanding your customer and being able to increase the desired outcome, to increase the likelihood of achievement, to decrease the time spent, and to actually achieve the result, even if it's, for example, science research. So that's why the value formula is not the money formula, because the money is not the only goal that you can achieve, right? And perhaps the money could be only the fuel for you to support science research or some kind of other cause that you care about.
Thank you. The next one is, what are the tools and methods to understand customers and their goals?
So some of the tools that I find really fascinating and worked in my case is interviews, like interviews with like a very specific set of your customer. I think they are superior when we are comparing with assessments, and we are sometimes think that, okay, I just send the assessment for like 1,000 of my clients and 20 people responded with their answers. So the question is in the quality. So how you can actually understand the customer. So I like to go with unscalable methods in this area. So actually diving deeper in like a specific customer and understanding them in the interview process. Asking the same questions, for example, that I shared in the very first slides, asking questions that you think your customer should care about. So this kind of method is straightforward, it's pretty simple, yet sometimes it's complex because you are not able to scale, right? So you are able to perform these kind of interviews as you have time. So I think this one, of course, assessments, as I mentioned, different like ways of testing your customer or asking the questions about what kind of products they are previously used, for example. And in a lot of cases, you are entering the market that is already saturated and there are already products similar to yours. So asking about your competitors' clients also helps. So of course, we can dive deeper and wider in the tools and methods, but I think if you can start from like interviews or assessments, if you have like a huge customer base, if we're speaking about a couple of millions and plus, then it helps to have the assessments. But less than that, I would say to identify some kind of specific groups of your customers and try to actually either go interview in the group, for example, setting up to 10 or 15 people, or one by one.
Okay. How would you sell a product inside a big company? Which users would be management?
So this is the problem that's actually happening with the who are the users versus who pays the money, and sometimes it's not the same people, right? So this happens with like big companies, and that's why when we're communicating about the value, we need to understand differences. What kind of audience do we address? Because once we were speaking with the drivers, the people who are actually driving the vans and providing the goods for the people and for the Tesco stores, so their value is very, very different than the value of the management. So we had that kind of different communication strategies of how to approach, for example, drivers, and how to actually help them to start use our systems, because they don't want to use any kind of new things. Especially we introduce like iPads, right? When you can see your schedule, you can see your map where you need to go. And a lot of drivers say that, I used to have a map, for example, like a physical one, and I don't want to use that. Or I'm just, pulling out my phone and I like to use like Waze, for example, instead of Google Maps. So there are a lot of different value communication strategies when it comes to different audiences. But that's a bit different, because with the management, their value lies in the different areas, and we are adjusting that communication, that value formula that suit management better. So different audiences requires different communication, but the value formula helps us to put things into perspective and to actually have some kind of structure around that. Because in a lot of cases, we think about the desired outcome, like the benefits or the features, and that's it. But in much less environments, we're thinking about like time and effort or sacrifice, or even that kind of likelihood of achievement, that they need to trust not only ourselves to deliver, but also they need to trust themselves, so they are able to actually use our product and gain that desired outcome from our product that we are communicating. So it's a bit different.
What factors contribute to the effect and sacrifice component in the offer value formula, and how do they impact overall value?
Yeah, so the more effort and sacrifice is from the customer, the less likely they feel that kind of value. So of course, that's why we can have the example of health. So imagine you have like a plastic surgery on one side, and you have like a healthy lifestyle with workouts and with nutrition and with maybe personal trainer and dietist to take care of that. So you have like a plastic surgery that kind of solves the problem in like 4 hours of procedure or like a couple of days, and you will have like maybe a few weeks to recover, and then the problem is solved. And on the other hand, you have like a trainer, you need to eat well, you need to sleep well, you need to move well, and they're saying, okay, you will have like 1 year or 2 years to actually, build the habits and to actually transform your life. And then a lot of people seeing at these kind of two different values, they might choose the plastic surgery because of the effort and sacrifice. I say might because the people are different and the ideas are different, but that's why the plastic surgery is such a huge market. I'm not sure about the number. You can Google it or ChatGPT it. But the number is staggering. So there are like a lot of billions into that industry because of the effort and sacrifice, because they can, really bend the time and actually save a lot of your time. And same goes with any kind of software when we're focusing not on B2C, but B2B as well. So you're saving time for someone, right? So Tesco, for example, in my case, they were more than able to build the same system themselves. They have engineers, they have processes, they have everything. But they were willing to pay us, so we'll move quicker, we'll adapt faster, and we'll provide result faster without the effort and sacrifice of building that internally. So this is how it contributes.
Awesome, thank you. That's it for the questions in the Slido, but I do have one question myself.
Yeah.
So for let's say you have an app that's B2C, and you want to have your users pay the subscription for that app, is there some analytical method you could use to kind of see what the optimum price for the subscription would be? So you know your lowest cost, but you want to, of course, make as much money as possible while also retaining users. If you put the price too high, then the users will churn. If you put the price too low, you won't make as much money as you possibly could. So where is the optimum?
Yeah. $1 million question, or maybe more, right? I wish I would have like a one very direct and clear answer. But yeah, it's probably the mix of experimentation. It's a mix of market research, and it's a mix of what is the end goal of everything. So when we're speaking about the startup world, for example, a lot of apps goes in a couple of years even without the profit, and then even going really just burning the money. But they are building the user base, they are gathering the feedback, so they are able to scale it and give it back afterwards. So the Vinted is a great example. The last year, I think it was the first year they were really profitable, even though they are like a first unicorn of Lithuania. So yeah, so I think there is no one answer. I think there is a lot of experimentation and also seeing how fast actually you need to gain that money from your user base, because sometimes maybe it's smart to have like a lower price but then gather the users and increase the LTV, so lifetime value of the customer, a bit later on. Because sometimes, especially when the market is really competitive, currently I'm seeing the more companies are focusing on lifetime value instead of like one purchase, and sometimes they are going to the minus of like one purchase. They are paying the customer, so they gain the customer, so they are able to monetize it a bit later on, with the especially with the subscription, right? So you may have like a minus, I know, like 10 euros in the first month, but on the second, on the third month, they gain back.
Yeah, that's really interesting, especially if you look at with user acquisition, when you pay for users and then you're in minus, and then you wait some time to see if when you will actually recover that cost.
Yeah, exactly.